last week we covered a movie that made us realize that it's been quite a while since we've covered an erotic thriller. Well, this week we're covering Follow Her, which is a social media psychosexual erotic thriller.
Yes.
It's about a social media influencer, but not the Instagram, I don't know, Snapchat or TikTok type. Like she's an influencer on a kind of like a fetish website almost,
Yeah.
a kink website, and she gets an opportunity for a job to finish to finish an erotic novel or an erotic screenplay, which is super cool actually.
Yeah.
It turns out though that it's not as great as she thinks it is. um I'm gonna throw it out there. I think this might be the stinkiest of stink movies we have ever watched.
It is rife with stank. It sure is. I mean, it swims in it.
This goes beyond when on we're on the Final Girls, we talked about Candyland, that being a horny movie.
Yeah.
And we've covered some pretty raunchy truck exploitation movies. We had Attachment Diaries last week. This movie has a level of eroticism that's it's not even erotic, it's just straight up like it's lust. It's just
Yeah.
like meet a person in a bar and I want to fuck you. Like
Yeah.
it's straight up like raunch. And I thought it was pretty cool. I kind of was like, I was like, damn, this is like as close as you can get to porn without being porn with no nudity.
Yeah.
Like
Very, very little nudity in
little
it.
nudity, like,
Very little.
and that's really impressive. This is like stuff that, like, if I was like 13, this would have gotten my engine going.
Oh, big time, big time. I would have never, I would have well, like the little device that was like for tickling people and shit. Like there was like, yeah, I guess I've seen some of that shit. I guess I just didn't know what it was for.
Thought it was for grating cheese.
Yeah. Yeah. Since I was like epilating your skin, or I don't know. But yeah, there was all sort like this yeah, this had all sorts of shit I was happy to see. Because you just don't see that kind of shit in a movie.
You don't. I mean, and here's the thing about this movie, and we just talked about it with Spiral, and we talked about it a few weeks ago with Smile. Aside from the social media aspect of it, like this is a very, very old school erotic thriller.
Yeah.
Even the use of hidden cameras, and spoiler
Yeah.
alert, we're going to talk about some plot points in this movie. Will
Yeah.
not ruin it for anybody,
No.
but that's not new at all. That's
No.
in like every Skinamax movie that came out from 1993 to 1997. Like they
Oh,
all had people being filmed having sex, and it's just it's in here, and it's kind of refreshing to be honest with you, the way it was used.
yeah, I completely agree. I thought multiple times I thought like, boy, this really is like one of those old like, we used to call them like softcore porn
Softcore porn,
movies
yeah.
that was on, one of those things, like Cinemax, like you said, and it had like a bit more edge to it, which was cool. But like you said, those old school Cinemax movies. I mean, much more nudity and actual just
Right.
flaunting of bodies and muscles and boobs and all that kind of shit. Where this actually kind of gets you into like, it really is a like a psychological cat and mouse kind of game
Absolutely.
that happens. And I didn't always know who had the upper hand, to be honest with you. And I
Me
thought
neither.
that was pretty cool.
Really well done. Like this, people talk about, cock teases, and that is never a positive thing. This movie teases you, but it's a
Yeah.
really, really good tease.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed watching this movie in ways that I don't enjoy watching movies anymore. I'm just not young enough to enjoy it this way. But this movie was very enjoyable in that sense.
Yeah.
And it's more than just sexual dynamics. That is a big part of it. Like the character, especially the lead character, Jess Peters, I think is a really interesting character because she's an influencer, but she's not the type of person you should like because she's living pretty
Oh.
much rent free. Her dad is supporting her. She's whiny.
Oh, I
She's like
didn't like her. Yeah.
he's an yeah, and you really shouldn't like. But I guess here's where we differ a little bit. Like, and I think it's more the circumstances than anything else. But despite the fact that she's not the type of person that I would like, um, I don't know if I liked her. Maybe that's too strong a word, but I certainly felt for her. I was worried for her. I was in
Oh,
her corner.
totally. So yes, like don't let my necessarily dislike her personality. No, I really enjoyed when she dropped $100 bill into the shitter in the outhouse. That made me laugh like a
That was
lot
funny. Yeah.
because I like it did. But yeah, no, you are well, just I mean, I don't like to see, well, it just puts you on edge, right? You don't want to see a woman in a vulnerable position who could, easily be, overpowered or taken advantage of by the much bigger dude and, in a weird secluded spot. So yeah, you're on edge for her. The entire time she's, out there with, and I'm not fucking around, Tom Brady.
Yeah, she's out there with literally Tom Brady. To the
And
best of it.
it's the best part.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting it was like an interesting build up. And then once the games started, quote unquote, I found that to be pretty fun. And I thought they kept it fresh by introducing new shit like constantly.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you couldn't tell who had the upper hand. Me too. Back and
Yeah.
forth. I would be like, okay, like he's got her where she wants. Oh, and then I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, maybe she set this up. And feel like, well, no, that doesn't really make sense if she did. But
Right.
she just kind of like it's her attitude. But she's very sexually forward. But she just doesn't take any shit either, for
Yeah.
better and worse. Luke Cook, who plays Tom Brady, he's like, we were just talking about sleazy guys, like he's, I don't know if sleazy's the right, but he's dangerous, but it's like a
Oh,
sexy danger, but not
it's
a
the
good
implication,
sexy.
man. No, it's like
Oh, he's Dennis Reynolds.
he's so Dennis Reynolds. Yeah.
Like, it's gonna take her out on a boat.
Yeah, got cameras hidden everywhere. You gotta like sign a release form. Like, no, he is Dennis Reynolds in a lot of ways. And but the actor, like you said, really great job. Like,
Yeah.
he's got this kind of unhinged quality to his personality to where it's like, holy shit, is he being serious? Oh no, he's not being serious. Oh no, yeah. Yes, he is. I don't know. I like that. I like when your antagonist is kind of, unpredictable in a way. I think that added to the tension.
Yeah, totally. I was I think you used the exact term, but I was on edge watching this. Like
Yeah.
I was really caught up in this world. And this isn't not so much a single location, but the majority of it does take place in one. It's a barn. It's a very large a
Yeah.
barn converted into a home, but it's in this large space, and it's primarily just two actors for it. I mean,
Yeah.
very difficult thing to do, but these two managed pulling great chemistry.
Yeah.
Like, and some of the stuff they're doing with and to each other, you need to have that chemistry and just
You do.
playing off each other so well.
Yeah, yeah. I would like to think a lot of that was improvised. It felt like it, and in a very natural way. So I really did enjoy their close up interactions, and not in the perverted way.
The other thing that I think they did really well in this movie is the social media thrillers. I mean, social media is going to be a big part of movies going forward, like forever until whatever the next advancement is. But I think movies that focus on social media, they have, and no pun intended, but they fall into this trap of being meta. They have to be really meta. And this movie, like, never, I don't even think it really, well, I don't want to say it doesn't try
Mm.
to be, but that's not a big part of it, like, at all. Like, it gets you, it's the story that sucks you in. It's the story and the characters. That's it. It's not about these wink, wink, nudge, nudge moments. Like,
Right.
what you see is what you get. And that's not usually said in a complimentary way, but I mean that in the most complimentary sense. Like, this is a story for you to just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't. Yeah, the meta aspect of it doesn't really come into the end, and it's by far the weakest point of the movie to me. It
Yeah.
is by far and away. So, but yeah, I agree. This movie did a really rare thing, which is to be, well, for my taste, to be kind of low budget and not, it's not this, they're not leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for you necessarily. They're
Mm,
kind of just giving you stuff and then surprising you, which is fine too. But that kind of low budget and that kind of storytelling usually does not vibe for me. It usually
right.
somehow it gets disjointed and doesn't work. This one really worked well. I thought they did really clever things like with the camera. I think the direction was really good. The pacing was good. I thought that they did a really good job keeping you on your toes and keeping you interested in something that is very face value. Like, you're kind of just seeing it as it comes, and then like I said, they're kind of hitting you with these surprises out of left field, which kept me guessing, until the end. Which, like I said, like I just said, like the end was like the last 15 minutes were like the weakest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, well, two things. When you mentioned
Sorry.
direction, I think one of the best jump scares that I've seen this year involves a hidden camera. And it's not even a jump scare; it's a very subtle scare,
Oh,
actually. But
yeah, with the
yeah,
bed,
yeah.
or
Well, no, before that, when he's looking into the cat camera, and then
oh, okay, yes,
really well done.
yeah, that was good. Yep.
That was one of those like, am I seeing that? Am I seeing that? And then there's a little bit of movement, and then you're like, oh
Oh
shit!
shit. Yep.
Like that's a really really good. Not That's the opposite of a jump scare.
Right.
Actually, it was
Right.
really really well done. But the ending, you've mentioned that a couple of times, and I agree with you. Weakest part of the movie, and it's one of those endings that it's really I love it. We've talked about this movie is what you see is what you get, and the ending included, it's a love it or hate it type of thing. Like either you're gonna watch it and be like, well shit, you just wasted an hour and a half of my life, or you'll be like, okay, that's cool. I don't I actually that's not even love really. Like
Yeah,
it's but some people might love it, but it also does go back to that's a very old school ending also. That's
it is.
it's I mean it did catch me off guard. I wasn't because I didn't know who to believe, not to believe, and what the hell was going on. So it did catch me off guard, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was good. And I was and then there's kind of an epilogue type thing to all that. Though I will say that at the end you get this in the end you get this very cool moment where you realize that for everything that's going on in the movie, for as scary, as intense, as sexy as it is, there's really a very very strong theme to this movie, and it's morality and social media. Like that's what this movie is about. And they do
Correct.
a really cool thing of throughout the movie, they'll mention it once or twice. There's one scene where it's kind of major focus for a good 2 or 3 minutes. And other than that, it's kind of just a passing comment here or there. And then in the final moments, you see like, oh wait, like that's what this movie is about.
Yeah.
Like this is about our ethics in the 21st century, basically. And I don't like the execution so much, but I really liked that final scene, like the idea behind what they were going for. That was really well done, I thought.
Yeah, right. So again, weakest part of the movie for me, and it was because there's a couple things at play. I think it was one of those like you're supposed to go like you're supposed to turn to the person next to you and be like, "Oh, what? Like, it
Yeah,
was that?"
totally.
And like
Yeah.
that's not at all. And then I think Danny Barker, who is pretty darn good through the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
I think this is like the weakest scene she's got. Like her reaction to like what she sees, I was like, I don't
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah, I
how
can
a
see
person
that.
would react.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty minor gripe, really, as far as the rest of her acting was. And I just yeah, it kind of just threw too much at the wall. I thought just but like I said, you're supposed to kind of have this aha thing. And it ultimately, I don't think it ruined it for me. It was like pointed out. It's to show that you can't just get away with everything. That you can't just do things for your own personal gain without thinking about consequences for others. And it drove that message right on home.
It sure did. And we just talked about it with Spiral, but I think this ending would have been held like 100-fold if before it became a story of two characters, if they spent a little more time with the supporting cast, especially because in that last scene, like it's a character we've been introduced to before. So if that person had a little more space time, a little more depth, like that final moment would have meant like I got the idea behind it, but I had
Totally.
no attachment to it.
Exactly.